Hello, I'm Dr. Heather Holleman. I'm an associate teaching professor at Penn State, and thank you for joining me for my third lesson on how to immediately improve your writing. This lesson is on my best tips for your academic writing and the types of projects you'll most likely be involved in your academic career. Now, the two categories of writing I want to talk about, because this is where I do kind of the most consulting and the most work with professionals. Two things: your job portfolio, which is ever evolving. I literally had to submit both a curriculum vitae, and a resume to my employer recently because I was moving up in a position. You will always need a resume. You will always need a cover letter. And the second thing is my best advice on completing articles and books. I have written 9 books. I am not publishing in the academic world. I'm at a popular, a general popular Christian press, but I help people finish and complete book projects. So I'm really excited to help you think through some of your academic writing. So the first is, as you think about the key terms, a lot of people are like, wait, what's the difference between a resume and my CV? The resume is usually 1 page. Now, I've been in the job market, for over the job world for over 30 years, but I still have a 1-page resume. Why? I condense it. I make it highly customized to whatever my employer is looking for. Now, the CV, there's no limit. My CV is 13 pages. The curriculum vitae is the entire record of your academic career. This includes, projects you've done, relevant coursework. And it's really a long, think about presentations, think about panels you've been on. That can be as long as you want, but you need both. And I highly recommend them. I was surprised when I applied for a new position at Penn State. I was like, here's my vita. I'm such an academic. No, the hiring committee was like, we actually want your resume. We don't want to move through all of this stuff. So you want to think about having both. Now, my best advice is you develop professional materials as you're applying to universities, or if you're moving or applying to a new position within your university. This includes things that you might think about for grants or proposals if they are asking for your professional portfolio. You need to think about customizing that document to the company, to the employer. So you're looking for words like mission statement, core values, strategic plan. What is it that the people want from you? And then you begin to customize your work. So an example is, my students who want to apply to work at BuzzFeed. You have to find out what the culture is of that company, that university, that job. What do they value? And then begin to circle and identify those keywords. Now, I bet you didn't know, maybe you did. BuzzFeed really values community. They throw birthday parties. They give you a ton of perks. They value teamwork, humility. If you look at this, and they're also using verbs like optimize. I have my students look at that and think, how do you fit into that company culture, and begin to customize your resume to that employer. So for an example, a student who is working at BuzzFeed, he customized. He's like, okay, do I connect people? Have I shown how I value teamwork? Can I use that verb optimize that BuzzFeed seems to care so much about? So as you can see, they really customize this to the employer. Now, when I was applying for a new position, I knew that the Schreier Honors College really valued globalization, ethics, leadership development. So I customized my resume and cover letter to show how I could uniquely contribute in those areas. The other thing that I see that's a real problem in professional materials is people don't ever tell you how they added value, what they changed, and they don't quantify that information. Think of your resume and your CV as an argument that you are trying to prove. So for example, you may have, you worked, say, as a cashier, and you want to put that on your resume. You could say, I worked as a cashier, but you're not showing how you changed anything, how you added value, or how you customized anything. So what did you do? Well, you worked efficiently. Can you quantify? Yeah, you reconciled a daily cash drawer of over $6,000. It's an argument making. I did something, and this is how I'm going to prove it. So whenever you can quantify results, so for example, if you provided after-school math tutoring, well, what did you do? Put in a strong verb there. I customized engaging biweekly math lessons to increase my mentee grade from C- to A-. Okay, you've quantified something. You've made an argument there. Now, speaking of verbs, one of my best tips for you, and this relates to your portfolio, but also your sense of a professional brand, is to choose verbs that best represent who you are and what you do. So I give my students a list of 1,000 verbs and I make them choose the verbs that best represent what they do. I make them choose the top 3. So are you someone who, when you enter a room, you accelerate things? Do you assemble? Do you analyze? I mean, look at this list. You can go through the whole alphabet. Maybe you're someone who coordinates or dispatches. Now, I'm someone, when I enter a room, I maximize, I energize, I include. I mean, think about verbs that best indicate who you are and what you offer, and put those in your professional materials. Because that means you're also creating what's called a personal mission and kind of a personal biography. Like, this is what I do, this is what I offer. So think about your unique verbs, and as you go through that list, you may be thinking, ooh, yes, I am someone who orchestrates, or I am someone who likes to mediate things. It's a really fun kind of activity to think, what do I do? I love these verbs, pioneer and revitalize. I love that verb. I revitalized. I put that in my own Vita. I say, yes, I'm someone, if you give me a course, I'm going to revitalize that curriculum. So that's one of my professional verbs. I also love the verb spearhead and upgrade. They're just like a unique kind of verb that maybe people haven't seen much. Now remember, you want to keep the resume to 1 page. It's kind of a leaving piece that you can give to an employer in case they ask for that in addition to your Vita, which just happened to me this summer as I was moving up at Penn State. And you want to eliminate unnecessary words. That means you're looking for articles and prepositions. So instead of saying you worked at the shelter in order to feed the people who needed dinner during Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. No, what did you do? You fed, quantify, 85 shelter residents on Thanksgiving. You've just you've just created a ton of space on your 1-page resume. So you want to customize it to the audience, choose the key verbs, show how you added value, quantify, and condense. Now, I teach technical design as well. If you're applying to an academic job and they have 300 applicants, I want your materials to really stand out. So as you look at this, you can see on the, Earl was able to use headings. He was able to provide a professional summary. He put his relevant coursework. The categories are easy to find and easy to look at. So that's something to think about as you design your document. Now, the cover letter. The cover letter is a 3-paragraph letter, no more. I've seen ones that are 2 pages. No one's going to read that. Think about you where there's a hiring committee and they're looking at 500 applicants. You want this short. You want to show them how you solve a problem for them and what key skills you're bringing to the position. I like to pride myself on successfully placing every single person that I advise, and I have a great track record using this model. What do you uniquely bring to the position, and what problem that the company has do you solve? I just did this at Penn State. I was able to say, here are the 2 key skills I bring to the Schreier Honors College, and my work in what? What have you done, and how will it enhance whatever they need? If you do that, you will be a success in your job search. The professional bio and mission statement. I highly recommend this. You're going to need it for department websites. You'll need this whenever anyone introduces you on stage. Just think about what you've done. This is usually just a paragraph, but also think of framing it in terms of a personality and also a mission. When people get you, what do they get? What are you devoted to? Every company has a mission statement. You can read them, look up any company you want. Usually they'll tell you, what are they devoted to? What are their goals? How do they accomplish those goals? I make every student complete this sentence right here. They say it's the hardest sentence they ever have to do. I say, I devote myself to. My goals include. Now for me, on my cover letter, I'm able to say I devote myself to building authentic writing classroom communities. My goals include helping students develop a written voice and position themselves successfully in the job market. I accomplish this by, and then I tell them my curriculum goals. So it's a really good model for you to use for your materials. So I want to end this presentation with a lot of the kind of coaching I do for people who are trying to finish their dissertations or longer book projects. My best advice for you as you're starting out or continuing your academic career is always try to answer 3 questions. And this actually works with your professional material. Why this? Why now? Why me? What's so important about this thing that you're researching? Why do you need to research it now? What is the current conversation? And then why are you the best person to talk about that thing? So As I talk to people who are having a hard time with their projects, I have 4 things I never want you to forget. The first is the power of curiosity. The reason why I've been able to write 9 books is because I ask a really good question that I'm curious enough about that it will sustain me through 200 to 400 pages of writing. A good question where you're like, why is this? What is this? And that power of unusual questions and applications. Finally, think about the power of letting readers just witness your joy and discovery, and then that power of personal application. If you do that, because you're thinking of your academic career over maybe the next 40 years, what kind of questions are gonna really sustain your research? So as you structure articles, books, longer projects that you're working on, I follow this structure for every single thing I write. And it's kind of my best kept secret. This is what I do. What question will my book answer? Why does it matter? Why does it matter now? Who else is talking about this or researching it? What have they said? What have they missed or misunderstood that now I can speak into? That is the secret of academic writing. And if you do that, you're going to be able to structure great articles, great books, even class curriculum if you follow that model. Now, as you think about how to conclude projects in academic writing, the way I want to end this presentation is to really talk to you about your 3 options for kind of ending projects, thinking, okay, because otherwise you think, the project never ends. The first is just to expand the context. You've written this thing. I wrote my dissertation on the emotion of shame in 19th century literature. And I thought, well, I need to expand the context of how I could apply this in other areas. Like what my research, how can I expand it to think about where else it could apply? So I thought about theological, psychological kind of impacts of the emotion of shame. Or just expand the research, end it by saying, okay, I've done this project. Where else could my research go next? What is my next question? Because otherwise you never end the project. It's okay to say, I've done this thing. Here's the next question. Finally, is just expand the original question. What drove you to write the book, and say, as I think about this, I can actually expand this question out to even mean more than I ever thought it could. And it kind of relates to expanding the context, but this idea of you just end by thinking, this really raises a better question that maybe another book could answer. That's a great way to kind of end that project. So as you think about your professional material, and kind of those best tips for structuring academic writing, I just wish you the best on your academic journey, and I really think those tips will help get you started and help you continue on your professional journey. Thank you so much.